Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3789 AN. Today's date is December 4th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Look Closely at the Job Numbers to See What is Happening. America is being restored. Let's talk about precious metals. Silver isn't just a historic store of value anymore. It's breaking records, hitting new all-time highs as global demand accelerates. That surge led me to Nevada. Most people hear the name and picture Las Vegas, Reno, bright lights, casinos. But long before the neon glow, Nevada earned a very different title, the Silver State, a place where some of the world's most important silver discoveries were made. Because Nevada wasn't built on entertainment, it was built on silver. And today that legacy is coming back into focus in a big way. AMCO Resources, trading under AMCOF in the U.S. and AMCO in Canada, is positioning itself right at the center of Nevada's modern silver resurgence. This company focused on high-potential silver exploration in the jurisdiction that has produced more wealth-creating minerals discoveries than anywhere else in the American West. They've recently acquired the Trinity Silver Project in Nevada from Newmont Corporation. As part of the deal, Newmont became a shareholder in AmeriCorps, a clear signal of the Trinity Project's immense value. When a global mining giant valued at nearly $100 billion takes notice, it's a strong indicator that you should too. This isn't a brand new exploration play with uncertain potential. It's a historic mine that has already produced over 5 million ounces of silver, with historic data indicating a potential resource of over 28 million ounces still in the ground. Why Nevada? Because investors know the rule. If you want to find new silver, go where silver has already made history. Nevada's geology, infrastructure, permitting framework, and discovery track record make it one of the safest, most productive, and most mining-friendly jurisdictions in the world. It's why the biggest names in the sector continue expanding here and why AmeriCorps is laser-focused on this ground. And here's what makes the story even more compelling. AmeriCorps Resource currently trades at under 25 cents, a steep discount compared to established silver names like Discovery Silver or Dolly Varden Silver, both of which command significantly higher valuations after their projects advanced. AmeriCorps offers investors that rare early-stage positioning, exposure to Nevada discovery potential before the market re-rates it, at a time when silver is surging and investor interest is skyrocketing. Because the story here is simple. A focused silver explorer drilling in America's most prolific silver jurisdiction at a time when global demand for ethically sourced, Western-aligned silver has never been stronger. Nevada built its identity on silver. AmeriCorps is stepping into to explore the next chapter of that story. Silver is hitting new all-time highs, and investors searching for high-impact exploration stories are looking straight toward the Silver State. That's where AmeriCorps Resources is positioning itself, trading under AMCOF in the U.S. and AMCO in Canada. AmeriCorps isn't just exploring, it's near production, with just under 800,000 ounces of silver already in stockpile. AmeriCorps isn't just exploring, it's positioning the potential future production with just under 800,000 ounces of silver already sitting in stockpile. Run the math. At $50 an ounce, that's $40 million in contained silver. Even after processing, the value could still come in around $16 million, roughly 3 times the company's current market cap based on the stockpile alone. Thanks to AmeriCorps Resources for making today's video possible. I'll drop links to their website, investor presentation, and stock symbols in the description below. Go to AmeriCorpsResources.com and remember the ticker symbols, AMCOF, and in Canada, AMCO, or just click the link in the description. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you could see every step of the way Trump now is restoring America. And the central bank, they are losing because Trump has already started the narrative. You see, all you need to do is tell the people that we're going to be weaning everyone off of income tax and everyone is going to be for it. I don't know any person that's going to say, listen, I really love my income tax. Can I keep it? So Trump has already begun this narrative of removing the income tax. And then people are starting to wonder, well, how do you do that? Why do we have income tax? People are starting to talk about it and think about it and saying, what is the reason for it? If he could just do it now, why did we have it all of these years? Why hasn't this been done before? And I think what's going to come out of this is that people are going to start to realize that the only reason we have income tax is because we have a private West Central Bank that we borrow from, and we should never, ever have had that. And if you look in the past, we had many, many periods of time where there was no private West Central Bank system and people weren't paying taxes whatsoever. And I think this is just the beginning of allowing people to understand where we are going. And I think as we move through all of this, I think people are going to become more understanding of why Trump is doing what he is doing. And what's very interesting, you have to remember a lot of the calculations, a lot of what we're seeing today with the job numbers, GDP, inflation, and the rest, this has all been designed for the central bank system so the illusion could stay alive, and they're able to convince people that the economy is doing very, very well. So when you hear like, oh, look, we have a drop in jobs right now, 2 million people, they're out of work, there's job openings right now. Well, you have to start to put all the pieces together to understand why this is. They're not saying there's layoffs. They're saying that the economy lost 2 million jobs. How many people were deported? Remember, they brought in all these illegals, cheap labor, to fill these positions. And if these positions are not being reported that they're open, well, that tells you everything you need to know right there. And I do believe that the job numbers aren't giving us an actual picture of what's really going on in the economic system. Because once again, if you have 2 million illegals taking up the jobs of Americans, and those individuals are removed from America, those jobs are going to be open now for Americans. And it's going to look like Trump is losing jobs. But is he really? No, he is not. Actually, with everything that's going on right now, we're going to see the entire economic system completely and utterly change. All that stuff in the past that Biden/Obama tried to do to bring down the economic system along with the Federal Reserve, all of that is going to start to disappear very, very rapidly. And this is what they're most afraid of. And you're going to see that all these jobs are going to be flooding into this country. And these manipulated type of job numbers and the manipulated GDP, manipulated inflation numbers, they're all going to go by the wayside because, again, we're going to see things that we've never seen before. Remember, Trump is restoring the economic system. He's bringing the power back to the people. And we could see that this is going to spread across the world once everything happens here in the United States. Because actually, if you look at Canada right now, most of their jobs are in the government. Do you really think that's a sustainable model? Do you really think Canada is going to be able to make it if 1 in 4 Canadians now work for the government? Absolutely not. Peter Sayong put this out and said, 1 in 4 Canadians now work from the government in Canada. In just 9 years, Canada hired 950,000 government workers. That's almost 9 million in U.S. terms. Meanwhile, 90% of the population growth is migrants. Regular Canadians will soon be a rounding error. Absolutely. And this is going to be a complete and utter nightmare for Canada. And you know what's very interesting is that entire study that was done by the UK where it says, listen, if you give people income, universal basic income, welfare, SNAP, you name it, what happens to them is they become lazy. They don't want to work. And you could see the deep state, the central bankers, they knew this. They knew exactly what they were doing when they were creating their system of welfare, SNAP, and everything else. Because again, their central bank system breaks down over time. And this is what they have to do. And they want to do it because this allows them to control the population. So when you look at those individuals that have been receiving food stamp, now that they're required to work 80 hours per month, not a week, not every 2 weeks, a month, which means that's 20 hours a week. That means you're going to be working 4 hours a day for 5 days. That's it. They're saying they don't think it's fair to require this. I think that study has just proven itself right there, and I think everyone now could see it. But there's going to be plenty of work. Why? Because Trump now just signed the car industry executive order. That whole green energy regulations and all that crap that Biden administration put together, actually Biden/Obama put together, he has basically removed it. It's null and void, which means the automobile manufacturers, they can concentrate on making cars. And the price of cars are going to go way, way down. Ford CEO in Town Hall put this out, said, today is a victory of common sense and affordability. This allows us to invest in affordable vehicles made in the U.S., which we will take the lead on and will allow us to make vehicles more affordable. Thank you for making this step for all of you. Stellantis CEO says because of POTUS, they're igniting auto investment. We see the CAF regulations reconciled. That's why we decided to invest $30 million in Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler in the next 4 years, increase production by 50%, add 5 new cars, create 5,000 jobs. Because once again, what was the Green New scam doing? It was hurting the automobile industry, and it was being moved out of this country. Plus, nobody wanted the electric vehicles. I'm not saying electric vehicles are all bad, but I'm saying to make the entire country and the world electric vehicles, that would be a bad thing. If you want to have one as a car to get around in, that's not a big deal. But it's not the be-all, end-all type of automobile. I mean, I still like the engine. I still like the way it purrs. I still like starting it up. I'm not really into electric vehicles, but I have friends that are into electric vehicles. So once again, the electric vehicles are very, very expensive. Without the subsidies, electric vehicles are very expensive. Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned is that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, no one knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing's for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season, surrounded by family, remember the best gift you can give isn't under the tree, it's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers. Peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit X22Gold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's X22Gold.com. Don't leave your future to chance, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. And we could see now that the automobile industry is not required to make them. We're going to see them really put out a lot of automobiles, and they're going to become cheaper and cheaper, especially with energy prices coming down, how Trump is controlling inflation right now. It's going to be so much better. But we could see the initial jobless claims, they have come out, and they have fallen to the lowest in September 2022. So that is very, very interesting. So Wall Street Maverick put this out and says, the data is clearly showing 2.5 million illegals have been deported. Weak job growth deported, but at the same time, fewer people filing for unemployment. The news media portrays this as bad, but it's actually a huge positive for American citizens. Peter Sayong says, weak job growth, but no layoffs. It's almost like they're simply fewer people, like, say, 2 million illegals. And that's exactly what has happened right now. We're in the process of deporting all of these people. Yes, they had jobs. They brought in cheap labor. Think about the central bank system. As the system breaks down and they create inflation, and means the value of the currency loses its value, you can move manufacturers out of here. You can move a lot of the jobs out of here, but the jobs that stay in America, how do you still operate, make a profit, and compete with those manufacturers out of this country? Well, and actually, also, you need to make sure that the people don't catch on to what's really going on here. You bring in cheaper and cheaper labor, because as the central bank system breaks down and the value of the currency declines, you need to bring in cheaper labor. And that's what they did. Now Trump is removing the cheaper labor. And then people are going to say, well, if he's moving the cheaper labor, how are we going to be able to do this? How are these businesses going to be able to operate? How are we going to farm? How are we going to be able to pick the cotton? Isn't this what the D's are saying? You see, Trump's plan is not to keep the economy the way it is. Trump's plan is not to keep the central bank system. Trump's plan is not to continually have you pay taxes. He's about to change everything in this country. That's what this is all about. And that's why we're going to see something completely different. Because once you get rid of income tax, once you get rid of the central bank and you're no longer borrowing the currency, the buying power comes back to the people. And all of a sudden, people now can afford real estate. People can afford apartments, especially when you get rid of the illegals. It actually brings down the prices of rent, brings down the prices of homes. CNBC put this out and said, apartment rents drop further with vacancies at record high. Wall Street Maverick responds to this and says, the CNBC article makes no mention of how 2.5 million deportations of illegals likely are having an impact on apartment rentals. The national median rent for apartments fell 1% in November from October and now stands at $1,367 according to Apartment List. It was the fourth consecutive month-over-month decline. Apartment rents are down 1.1% from November 2024 and have fallen 5.2% from their peak of 2022. But they never mentioned that all these illegals are no longer living in those apartments, which actually drove the price up. Scott Turner put this out and says 6 months of zero illegals released into our country, 2 million illegals removed. Rent drops for the fourth straight month. Coincidence? I think not. JD Vance says the connection between illegal immigration and skyrocketing housing costs is as clear as day. We are proud to be moving in the right direction. Still so much to do. Absolutely. And now you're starting to see that, wait a minute, I can afford all these things because all these illegals are gone. Traffic is gone. The illegals are gone. The government now has more money because now we don't have to pay those individuals SNAP, Medicaid, and everything else. This is what happens when you're restoring America. And what Trump is going to do is, for the children of this country, he's going to return pretty much everything that was stolen from us and give it to the children of this country so they can build wealth. The Gobecio letter on X put this out and said, Trump accounts will feature tax-free contributions with hundreds of major companies set to contribute. 25 plus million U.S. kids will now receive 1,000 from the Trump administration, 250 from Michael Dell, and all tax-free contributions made to these accounts. This will provide trillions of dollars to kids if invested until age 20 plus. Think about what's going to happen to this country. The generations that are following us right now are going to be way better off, and it's all tax-free. Why? Because in the end, there will be no income tax, and they'll be able to keep all of this when they withdraw it. Think about that for a second. Everything is now changing in this country. You see, the people of this country who grew up, in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, we were used to the Federal Reserve. They convinced us that this is normal, that, hey, you get a pay raise, you get 2% to keep up with inflation. Oh, it's normal for prices to go up on items. This is what you're supposed to expect. Oh, we have to raise the minimum wage because, hey, your money's not worth the same as it was before. This is normal. Oh, we have to raise the debt ceiling because we've borrowed so much, we hit the debt ceiling. This is normal. You see, what they did was they made everything seem normal, like this was the way the economic system was supposed to operate. So just get used to it. And this is why Trump is starting the narrative, letting everyone know that we're moving into a completely new system. And the Federal Reserve System will no longer power this country, because now we have a new parallel economic system made up of the tariff, the gold card, oil sales, technology sales. This is what's going to power the country. And as it powers the country, we are not going to borrow currency, which means we're not going to put more and more currency into circulation, which actually drives the value down. We're going to be using the existing currency that is around the world right now. Now, the currency structure might change, but we're going to be using the existing currency that already exists in the world. So right there, that should tell you everything you need to know. And that shows that your currency will no longer lose value. But you could see that Trump, he is now making the news networks talk about the income tax, talk about the Federal Reserve. Actually, if you go back in time, there was very few people that would even mention the Federal Reserve. And if you notice in the last couple of years, especially since the crisis of 2008, 2009, you really never heard about the Fed. And now you hear about them quite often. Actually, Trump is having arguments with the Federal Reserve. And now we're having news stations actually talk about the income tax and how can the country actually operate without the income tax. MJ Truth Ultra put this out and said, it's happening. A conversation that was once a pipe dream is now becoming mainstream reality. America thrived before 1913, before the Fed, before the income tax. And now President Trump and his administration have been seeding the idea into the American mind that we can eliminate the income tax with tariffs, just like President William McKinley did in 1897. And President Trump is following in his exact footsteps. The Dingley Tariff Act of 1897, which was the centerpiece of President William McKinley's domestic economic policy, he believed in protectionism, using high tariffs to protect American industry and workers from foreign competition. just like President Trump. Between 1897 and 1901, the United States had just become the wealthiest and highest output economy on earth, surpassing the United Kingdom as the world's number one manufacturing nation and number one economy in total GDP by 1900. U.S. industrial production was roughly equal to that of Britain, Germany, and France combined. Taxation without representation is unconstitutional and illegal. We, the people, are now finally coming to grips with the illusions that have been installed around us our entire lives. Who is the Fed? What is the Fed? How did the Fed come to fruition? What is the Titanic? Who was on the Titanic? What year? Those illusions are now dissolving. The golden age of America truly is among us. There is a plan to restore our country. God's plan is playing out right now. And that's absolutely true. And you can see this is what they've used for many, many years. I mean, we got to go back to 1913 and think about it. We were the wealthiest country up until 1900, and then all of a sudden, 1901, I should say, but then all of a sudden, the central bank started to tinker with the economy because, again, they had plans. We need to show the people of the United States and the people in Congress that they need us once again. And what they did was they made chaos in the economy. And we had times when the market came down, the economy crashed, it was brought back up. And they said, listen, this is what the central bank was saying, if you want us to help out, we can level this off so we don't have these problems. And if you just give us the authority to create the currency and control these two things, the unemployment rate, making sure everyone is fully employed, and making sure that there's no inflation, we'll make the economy perfect. I mean, this is what they were selling those people that are in Congress. And we could see that, once again, they created a problem and they came up with a solution. And eventually what they would want to do as time went on, as we could see it, is eventually start from the wealthy, tax them, tax their income, and then slowly move all the way down to the poor. Trump now, to get rid of the central bank system, he's doing the actual opposite of them. He's saying, you know something, all you poor people, we're going to be removing the income tax from you. The middle class, we're going to be removing the income tax from you. So basically, he's working in reverse because that is where the population is. And when the population sees that, hey, wait a minute, I have all this money, I'm a lot more comfortable, I'm not worried like I used to be, nobody's going to come to audit my income, because again, this is all unconstitutional. No one should be auditing. No one should know what you're making. No one should know how much you have in the bank. No one should know anything, especially the government. And once again, we could see everything is about to turn around. Plus, if you notice, the central bankers, they always wanted us to know that the Federal Reserve note that we hold today, that is the only currency, backed by the full credit, faith and credit of the United States. They always wanted you to know that gold was not money. Silver was not money. At the time, there was no cryptocurrency. And now people are starting to realize, wait a minute, the true money is gold. The true money is silver. Been around for thousands of years. Cryptocurrency, almost like gold. It is digital gold because, again, you have to mine it. You just don't push a button and it just appears. And it's finite. So we have two systems right now that are competing against the fiat currency. And in the end, what's going to happen is that Trump's new parallel economic system, along with gold, silver, and crypto, that is going to be replacing the fiat currency. And I do believe what we're going to see is we're going to see gold move up. We're going to see silver move up. And again, when you look at gold and you look at silver and you look at fiat, you can understand why it's moving up. Remember, over the many, many years, they used the paper markets to keep it down. It's the same thing with crypto right now. If you notice, they threw a lot of ETFs. They dumped a lot of ETFs to bring crypto down. Crypto wants to go up, and it continually tries to go up and up and up. Just like a plant growing. You put a seed in the dirt, you water it. The plant wants to grow up. It wants to go. And you could try to stop it, but it will always thrive to reach the sky. The same thing with crypto, the same thing with gold, the same with silver. And I do believe that with everything that's going on with the central bank system, we're going to see all these alternative currencies, which is actually the currency, they're really going to start to make moves. And as Trump starts to remove the country from the income tax, you're going to see gold and silver most likely start to shoot up, because I think these are all signals letting us know in what direction we're going in. Because in the end, once he does all this, do you think the central bank is going to exist? Do you think we're going to stay with the central bank, or are we going to remove the central bank and go back to the Constitution like our founding fathers want? If we go back to the Constitution, what is going to happen with gold and silver then? That's going to be very, very interesting. And I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a lot of things change. And I do believe that Trump, once gold and silver hit a certain point, what's going to happen is they're going to revalue it. And once they say, okay, we're going to revalue the gold, let's just see how much gold we actually have. Remember, Elon and Trump mentioned auditing Fort Knox. Now, again, it's always about timing. And they always put out what they're going to do. It doesn't mean they're going to do it right at that moment, but it's always about timing. Why would you want to audit the gold reserves at $42 an ounce? I wouldn't. I would want gold to go up. I would want gold to be around 10, 15, 20,000. Then I would say, listen, let's go see how much gold we have. And I have a very funny feeling we're going to have a lot more gold than people think we do. And I think Trump, the Patriots, I think they already know how much we have. And this is why they're waiting. I think in the end, gold will truly destroy the Federal Reserve. I do believe the Federal Reserve will be restructured into the Treasury. We will no longer use their fiat currency. The people will once again be in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.